Cancer. It's something we all know about. It's real and it's a part of many people's lives. Not many people truly understand their journeys and their struggles. It changes you and your family forever. But no matter what happens, there's always that light at the end of the tunnel. Here is their story.
My name is Thomas Baker. I am 20 years old, and I had ALL, acute lymphoblastic leukemia.
I'm Shania, and I had acute lymphoblastic leukemia, also known as ALL.
My name's Harry. I had acute promyelocytic leukemia, which is APML shortened.
How many years have you been out of treatment now?
Technically, I finished around 2017, so 4 years now. Jeez, that's a while.
5 years
5.
in January. So officially, I guess they say like cured at the 5-year mark. Yeah. So yeah, 5 years.
I finished chemotherapy on the 11th of September 2015. So that's over 5 years. Yeah, almost 6 years.
How long did you spend in hospital?
Well, I got diagnosed just before I turned 13, so spent a lot of time in the hospital. A lot of time. There was a lot of nights. I'd probably say 2/3 of all that time over those years were definitely me spent in hospital.
I was on treatment for 3 years. It's supposed to be 2 for girls, but I ended up having a whole lot of complications, which meant I had time off chemo. So
when I had IV chemotherapy, it would have been from February 2013 to probably August 2014, and then from then I was on just oral chemotherapy, like 11 tablets a day for 3 years. So.
You change so much physically and mentally coming out of it. It's made a lot of challenges during and after, of course, but yeah, it's how it is.
I don't think I would have been this person had it not happened. I think now I'm a lot more, I guess, ruthless with the way I spend my time because I understand how important time is now. But I think it's definitely made me a lot more understanding of how important your health is.
Life is in the positive direction in terms of career, stability, just general life experience. It's pretty good. The old adult, 9-to-5 job, new car, how it is, driving around,
Do people get surprised now when you mention you went through that journey?
I think nowadays, yeah, definitely. I don't really talk about it a lot. I never really was the kind of person who wanted to talk about it because it's kind of like, it's a very heavy thing to throw into a conversation. You have a chat with someone and you're like, oh, how's your life been? And I'll be like, oh, I had cancer. It shocks them. They never really know what to say. But I try to be a lot more open about it now, and it definitely does shock them. It's like, oh, you went through that? Are you fine? And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm fine.
Like, yeah, people, especially my uni friends, like I made a whole lot of uni friends this year, and they were talking about something, and I said, oh, I think they're talking about chemo, and I was like, oh yeah, like it's a real real rubbish, right? And they were sort of like, what? Like,
I guess people nowadays do because like childhood cancer is different because we're adults now, so it's still as important to me as it always has been, but to other people, they may not see it that way.
The beads of courage are a visual way to show your journey. How many beads would you say you have?
Oh, I think the last time I counted with my family, there was 1,300 plus that we counted. Obviously, there's so many that you kind of lose track. But yeah, there's a lot.
I'd have to be over 1,000 for sure. Yeah, some special ones from, overnight stay at hospital, chemotherapy days, blood, plasma, special occasions like having a birthday. I've got an Xbox controller because they must have thought I was a epic gamer. Special picture discs, I think some of them are like, you pick line removal, Hickman removal, port removal, that type of thing.
we counted it, and I think there was over like 3,000.
Yeah.
It was like so many. Yeah, because I had like so, because I had so many complications while I was on treatment, and just ended up like all the, you get like a bead for each specialist and all that sort of stuff. Like, and then I spent so long in hospital. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. Like,
Every bead tells a person's story, of their struggles, of their courage, but also their fight for their tomorrow. Whether they wear them on their neck or hang them on their wall with pride or whatever else they're feeling, it's important for telling each individual's journey. You're not miraculously cured when it's all over. These patients are still fighting every day a different yet familiar battle. It's important people know about this, as it is an entirely different struggle.
Mentally, it was a bit strange. As a kid, I think it made me very at our knees all the time. I think it definitely fed into my anxiety problems I have now, because you spend every day uncertain of what's going to happen every day, and you're like, oh, is this going to do this to me, or am I going to have a bad problem because of this, So I think it definitely is a sole contributor to a lot of my anxiety now, but, that's just a part of it.
And it wasn't until last year I started having really bad episodes of like PTSD. I'd be somewhere and I'd just burst into tears and like could not control it, and like would be a real mess because I'd get like a flashback of, I guess, a moment that I had forgotten. I was with my partner, and every night I was sort of going every time I'd have a shower, like I'd just be like bawling my eyes out, like for no reason, well, not for no reason, but I guess just because like it was an overwhelm of like, holy shit, like that has happened. And I was like, I need someone that like understands cancer, because it's not just, you're not just having a bad day. Like, this is like a whole chapter of your life that now is coming to head because you've sort of, I guess, like done it all. This is like the mental capacity of what's actually happening.
Now it's worse because, as you know, the support for after you finish treatment and when you're older dwindles down. Like, even adult support for cancer, I don't think I've heard of anything really. When you have those moments like on a weekend when you're at home and it's kind of quiet in the house. I don't really like being alone in the house and being quiet. So then I start to think, all these possibilities that could happen. Like, we could get diagnosed again, and then chemotherapy wouldn't work because it's only worked for one time. And then, we'd have to go through the hoops again for that.
I had a lot of quite intense chemotherapy that affects stuff like the nerves and muscle. So I don't have a lot of muscle in like my arms or my legs. So some physical activity is quite challenging. Like being on a film set, for example, I can't really carry a boom pole for a good while because it's like my arms just can't keep up. I can't even lift my own cat sometimes. She's that heavy.
But I guess another thing that like sort of has come with me is the whole fertility thing. So I'm only 22, which is obviously like young. When I had an appointment with one of the oncologists, she sort of said to me, are you thinking that you would want to have children? And I was like, yeah, like, of course. I literally had just got with my partner. We'd been together for like 2 weeks. She's like, I wanted to tell you, but like didn't really know when to bring it up. And I thought she was going to tell me that I was like infertile. And she was like, we've sort of noticed that leukemic, especially girls, they tend to either having problems conceiving or have problems like retaining a baby. And she sort of said, what we've noticed is that if you try later on in life, it's less successful. I was second year at university, had met this guy like 4 weeks ago, and she sort of said to me, are you dating anyone? And I was like, yeah, I've got this really nice partner, like he's a builder, like it's great. And she's like, well, now it's good, like if you're wanting to have children, like thinking about maybe going to see like a fertility doctor. And she said even thinking about popping a baby out would be a really good idea. I have to go home and tell this guy, like, he's going to leave me. Like, he's not going to want to be with someone that, like, I've already had cancer and now I'm going to drop a baby bombshell on him. Like, I was such a state. And, like, I'll never forget going home to Connor, and he was sort of just like, all right, then.
I have to get yearly echocardiograms because I had arsenic trioxide for an hour every day for like 10 weeks. So it was like 5 liters of arsenic, which is a lot of poison. Obviously, your bones get weak. I feel like my general energy levels are still lower than what it could be. I mean, I'm not physically fit or anything like that, but I don't think I can really strive to be physically fit because of what my fatigue gives me. I think like it probably create more problems like with my heart because it's so, it is weak. I don't really want to stress my heart out too much and then have to pass out or end up in hospital again.
What's one of the hardest moments of your journey?
First bit was being isolated a lot during my formative years. So like I was 13 till 17. There's so much time that is spent alone in a hospital or just not spending it with people, your friends and that, not going outside. You're not able to go hang out places because your immune system's bad. So coming out of that, I was pretty much at the tail end of my teenage years, but I was basically like, I was mentally still at the start of that. So I had to learn everything from scratch, and going into university when I was 16 and I was with a group of people that were my friends and they were amazing. But I had to play catch up with them because they were even older than the people who I used to. They were like in their 20s and stuff. And it's like, oh gosh, here's me. I've got to catch up with them. And I still feel like I have to play catch up nowadays. But it's, that's probably one of the hardest things for me.
I was in the isolation room because I had a reaction to the pig asparaginase and my liver pretty much died. I was bright yellow. Like literally I looked like a Simpson character because my liver was like shot because of the pig asparaginase. Pretty sure it was like the same week. And I can remember we were all like very close to not being earthside for much longer. They had a liver on standby for me at Starship. So Amanda was like to me, she was going away for the weekend and she said to me, Shania, you have to pick your bilirubin up. Bilirubin has to go down, which is like your liver count. It has to go down by at least 1. Otherwise on Monday morning, you're getting chop it up to Starship and you're going to have a liver transplant. And the problem was with me having a liver transplant was my body probably wouldn't have accepted the liver and I had like no neutrophils, but it was like a race of time whether the chemo killed me or the liver was going to kill me. Like it was, that was freaking terrifying. That was probably quite scary because I was on all these drugs and none of them were fixing it. It wasn't actually the chemo, and then they stopped the chemo completely too. So then you're sort of like, oh my God, is this cancer gonna come back because I'm not on chemo?
Yeah.
That was pretty scary. And especially like thinking that I was gonna have to have a liver transplant because like that's a pretty big organ to lose.
But the survivor's guilt, as I said, like it is so hard to wake up every day and think, oh, I survived cancer, but I survived cancer. My friends didn't, or my family didn't. That is hard, and I don't think that is necessarily noticed as a form of PTSD. Of course, it is, but the support for that as well, I've never received. So I've had to kind of like bury that down and just accept that this is what I am. Like the only way I can help is by telling people what I went through. And I think it should be known as much as someone that's going through, I don't know, a cold. Oh, are you okay? You feeling better? Like just that kind of reassurance is appreciated. Like you don't have to beat around the bush about if having someone with cancer. Some people are different, of course, but I feel like the majority of people just want to be like, I want people to be aware that we all went through, like I went through this, you've went through this, not so much talk about the negative all the time. And obviously when people talk about the negative, then I think negatively. So I'd rather people just be aware of it and said, not treat me differently, but just, there was a very big possibility that we wouldn't be doing this today. You wouldn't be making a movie. I wouldn't be working full time. I wouldn't have bought a car. It's incredible that life gives you this, but it can very easily take it away, is what I'm saying.
Despite their daily struggles, they still prosper on and make the most of their lives. There is that light at the end of the tunnel. That light is a second chance at life. We make the most of that as it's special, and we have been blessed with this.
How does it feel to be a cancer survivor?
It feels great. It feels really weird in a way. Sometimes I'll remember, when I wasn't really talking about it much or very open about it. I remember just thinking back the things I did and I was like, that's not me. I didn't believe it. I saw photos of myself and I'm like, that's me. But now I'm really, really thinking about it. I'm like, that was me. And now I'm here doing all this stuff and it feels really good. A little bit challenging sometimes, but it's good. I love it.
It's pretty cool. I think now it's something that I don't take for granted. Like, I really actually think of how amazing my body is to get through all of that. It's such a roller coaster ride. And I think it's really nice to reflect on it in a nice way now, instead of being like, I was the one that got cancer and my life's shit. Like, it's really nice to think back and be like, well, I actually did that. And I'm really thankful because I had a Facebook page that was set up called Shania's Journey when I was sick. And it's really nice now if I have like a flashback, I go back and see if I wrote something about that. And it's really nice to go back and reflect and be like, wow, like I actually really was sick. Because I think you also sometimes forget how big of a thing it is to overcome. You're sort of conditioned to be like, yeah, once you cured, you're all good. But like, it is a huge, huge, huge thing to overcome.
I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to have experienced these things after the whole cancer thing, like growing up, doing things that I've always wanted to do, like being free, you know. Of course, I'm grateful for all the support that I had with the nurses, with the chemotherapy. New Zealand government, appreciate you. Thanks for letting me borrow all your medical equipment. Just to be blunt, you know, I'm glad to talk about what I've been through, and I'm proud to say that I am a survivor. That is surely something. So
you must feel proud of everything you've overcome. What's your biggest piece of advice to new patients and families?
Stay strong. Know that you've got support everywhere you go. It will be challenging. It'll absolutely test you to everything that you think. And you've just got to be ready for that. You've just got to tackle it on and you will make it out.
I guess you just have to take each day as it comes. Don't plan too far ahead, because then when you don't reach that point in time or something happens, you'll be really, really let down. And just enjoy the time you have here. You know, people tell you how it was for them, but everyone has such an individual story. One of the biggest things I wish I had done was take photos. Taking photos is the last thing you feel like doing. When you get past that point, like I've only just started now being able to actually go back and look at photos and not feel like physically ill, so that then when you're on the other side, you can look back and think, wow, like I did that.
Power through it, basically, as you would. But I would say don't think about the negative things, you know, while, of course, the worst thing that's possibly going to happen in your life is happening to you. Try to think about the things that make you happy instead of feeling so upset. Of course, it's such a daunting time, but thinking what I could be when I'm older, or what I could buy, or what I could do, and you know, with my time, with my money, outside of chemotherapy or outside of cancer. You can't think about the worst things that are going to happen when they may possibly not. Because I did that when I was younger, and I thought, oh, this and that. But realistically, majority of the time, things are going to be bright for you. You're going through such a horrible thing. You deserve to have whatever you wish outside of it, you know. Don't let the negative experience of what you're going through now affect your future, is what I'm saying. Hopefully it's more positive than what you're going through now.
So why did you choose to make this film?
I chose to make it as a little bit of healing for myself. And I wanted to make it as something to let me talk about what I've had to deal with afterwards, because there's a lot of physical and mental stuff you got to deal with, and I didn't really have an outlet to really express that. But as it developed, I was like, hang on, families can watch that are going through it themselves, and they can go, oh my god, all of this bad things happened during treatment, but look, there's multiple people that are here and out of it. So I really wanted to make something that just inspires those other people going through it themselves, that it can, you know, you can get out of it.
Cancer, it's real, it's hard, there's so much to learn about it and from it. Life's a beautiful gift given to us all. Even in those dire moments of struggle, fear, and confusion, for all the uncertainty, there's one thing that keeps everyone together through this journey, and that's each other and reaching the light at the end of the tunnel. There is no definitive cure for cancer, But there is the gift that is those that make it to the end of the tunnel. Their light is their life, making the most of every precious moment they have. You never know when things are going to be flipped completely on their head, so cherish every day and every little moment with everyone and everything. Turn your misery into meaningfulness and make the most of every day, because for some they don't reach that light, but we can all be the light for each other.
Ring this bell 3 times well. It's told it to clearly say, my treatment's done, this course is run, and I'm on my way. Woo!